In this video, I want to talk about terminal basics for macOS users. I know in my class I'll have about half of you guys will have Mac laptops, the other half will have Windows. I'll talk about Git for Windows or Git Bash terminal in a separate video. But in this one, I want to focus on macOS. In an earlier video, I discussed how, your Mac already comes with a terminal application. And the way that you access it is you go to your hard drive. Okay. Now, there's a little bit of administration you might want to do. If your hard drive, like mine, is called Das Boot, if your hard drive is not on your desktop, then you have to go over to your Apple menu, go to System Settings. Oh, I'm sorry. Not System Settings. Let's go to, you're on your Finder. Go to File. And Settings. Okay, so go to, instead of Apple System Settings, you want to go to Finder Settings. And then make sure that you check all these items. Hard disk, external disks, CDs, DVDs, iPods, connected servers. And new Finder windows will show in your home drive. Now, my home drive is called, or my home folder is called Swodog Rick. And you could say open, you could check this block, open folders in tabs instead of new windows, but I like to open new folders in new windows. Okay, so these are kind of system administrative things that you need to kind of sort out. I talk about more about this sort of stuff in class. But being a person who's a software developer, right? Even if you're writing scripts, right? You're programming. There's a little bit of, programming, how to create a program. You have to know about Python. You need to know about Bash, and you need to know some system administration. So most folks who are not programmers don't usually dive too deep into system administration. This would be like a very superficial system administration task. This is mostly could fall under customizing your Mac OS. All right. So I like to show my hard drives. All right. And here I have plenty. I've got my boot drive. I've got two other drives. And then I have another, connected drive, and then two other drives that I use for Time Machine. Okay. Now, like I say, you go to your hard drive, click it, and then you'll see Applications. Go to your Applications. This is your main Applications folder. And scroll down. I know this is kind of small, but as soon as I get to the terminal, I'll make things bigger. Scroll down to Utilities, and in your Utilities folder, you will see a terminal app. Now, you could use that terminal app. There's nothing wrong with that terminal app. But on macOS, I prefer to use a terminal called iTerm. So let me go there. Let me quit terminal. Let me close that. And you pull up a browser and just search for iTerm, I-T-E-R-M. Okay, and it's called iterm2.com. So you can download so go ahead and click on the download if you haven't already downloaded iTerm. All right. I already have. Just follow the instructions, and when you're finished downloading iTerm, then it will be installed. I like to install it in my users folder. Okay. Now here's another bit of administration. You're going to have your user account, your home drive, your home folder, whatever that name is, on a Mac OS may not come with this Applications folder, but you can go ahead and create it. You can just create a new folder. Usually you right click and then select new folder, name it Applications, and then when you install iTerm, just drag it to that Applications folder. So here, there's some apps that don't give you a choice when you install them, and they go to your main Applications folder. Here, I like to just have them on my my account, my user account applications folder. And I'm the only one using this machine, so it works fine. Okay, now when it's installed, what I'll do is I'll grab that icon and I'll select it with my left mouse and I'll drag it down to my toolbar and I'll put it on my toolbar. So that's where it's located. If you read chapter 1 of my book, let me pull it up, of computer scripting techniques with Python, then I go into all this stuff about how to configure your computer for software development and how to show hidden files and directories and how to create shortcuts on your desktop, etc. And how to drag stuff down to your toolbar. And chapter 1 from that book is called baseline. It's called part 1, preliminaries, baseline development environment. So in this chapter, I go through how to like set this stuff up, right? And there's a whole section on terminals, okay, and what a terminal is. And I'll get into some of that stuff here in this video. Okay, so once you have located, let me move this out of the way. Once you've installed iTerm, you open iTerm, and you'll be using that. Now, the beautiful thing about terminals on a Mac is with just the Command plus key, you can make the text bigger. Okay, to me, that's magical, right? You usually have to go explicitly set font sizes on Windows terminals and Linux terminals, right? But with macOS, you just do Command plus, and you can increase the font size, right? So I hope everybody out there watching this video can read this. Now, so let me just explain a few terminal basics, right? This is called the terminal. The terminal runs a shell. In this case, I'm running the bash shell. So there's two different pieces to this. And in an earlier video, I explained how if you wanted to install Brew, right, which is the preferred Mac package manager for installing stuff, then you needed to have the bash shell, okay, running. The Mac usually comes with a Z shell enabled, and I went through in that other video how to change from the Z shell to the bash shell. But anyway, you want to be in the bash shell because all the scripts in this class are bash scripts. Okay, so that's what we're going to be. That's the assumption anyway. So first off, a couple basic commands. This is a customized prompt, and I have code in a file called bash underscore profile. So if I do an ls, if you want to list your directory, let's just start here. When you first launch iTerm, okay, let me come back here. Your terminal will launch in your home directory. Okay, right now my terminal is launching in another window. So let me make this bigger. And the indicator for where you're located is here, at least the way I've got mine configured. So that tilde, okay, that tilde right there on that line indicates that I'm in my home directory. Now, if I do a ls, which is, list files, then I will list files in my directory, files and folders that are not hidden. Okay, so I have mostly directories, right? They are, so most of them are directories. Some of them are uppercase. Those are the ones that are the Apple ones. Okay, like for applications parallels, Creative Cloud files, library, documents, downloads, right, sites. Then I've created a few of my directories that I wanted called bin and dev and temp. And there's another directory called iCloud Drive. And then there's a file called ERCOT Telegraph Unified Line Protocol. So that's a log file, that's a text file, and that's just some work I'm doing, right? But that's not the whole picture. Usually you want to view hidden files and folders as well, right? That's most helpful. So if you type ls-al, then that will list all the hidden files and folders plus the non-hidden files, the ones that are, so in a Unix system, and that's what a Mac is, right? It's a certified Unix system. And Linux, a hidden file begins with a dot, okay? So like .dsstore, that's a file that doesn't show up. For example, if you open up a folder, you go to users, and you go to your home drive here, all right, then you can see the files and folders, okay, just as if I listed them. So let me go back and just list with ls, all right. That will just show the non-hidden files and folders. I have the same view. By default, in your Windows, in your GUI environment, you have the same type of a view, right? So, of course, in Mac, right, you can click up here and just see folders. You can see a list. You can see it this way. You can see it that way. I prefer the list. It just makes it easier to see what's going on at a glance in your directory. But you see I have applications. There's applications over here in the terminal. Let me make this a little bit more narrow, or move it over this way. Okay, so I just wanted you to see the correspondence. In a terminal, we call this a directory. I'm in my home directory, okay? In a graphical user interface metaphor, you call it a folder. So that is some vocabulary that you're going to need to understand, okay? I'll say this, I'm not generalizing, but most users who are not programmers, who are just casual users of their computer, never see the terminal. This is the first time you've encountered this, right? So you're always opening windows and clicking windows. But you can get things, in many cases, a whole lot faster done with a terminal. Now, you can see hidden files and folders in your graphical user interface window if you do Command-Shift-period. Let me select this. I think, no, it's Alt-Shift-period. Oh, hang on. I'm not going to get this right. Alt-Shift-period. No, Command. Maybe it's Control-Shift-period. No, I'm struggling here. Okay, I see what's going on. My recording software is interfering with that. But Command-Shift-period will show hidden files and folders. However, we don't need to deal with that usually. We're going to be in the terminal. Okay, so to show hidden files and folders, you do ls-al, like that. So 2 commands. Show regular files, ls, and show hidden files and folders, ls-al. Okay, ls-al. Those are 2 very helpful commands. Now, where you should be writing these down is in your engineer's notebook, and you need to practice this stuff. Okay. Okay, so now if I wanted to, let's talk about a little bit about where we're going to put projects. I put my projects in a dev folder, so the hidden files and folder list can be quite extensive, so I'll just list. Let me clear my screen. Here's another good one. CLEAR will clear your terminal. And then if you adjust it again, it'll show it. Really what it does, it just runs up the text up, right? So CLEAR for clear. And then if you do a ls, you can see I have a dev folder here. And I recommend, and this is in chapter 1 as well, make sure you create this dev folder. And then I'm going to change directory into my dev folder, cd dev. And now if you'll see right here on this line, you'll see tilde, which is your home folder or home directory in a terminal. and then /dev. That shows that I'm in my dev folder. You really need to be aware, keep awareness of where you're at on your computer, on your hard drive, and which hard drive you're on. Okay, but that's the tilde is your home directory, and that is I'm in my dev. So if you don't have a dev drive, so I'll show you what's in mine. ls. So I have a bunch of directories. Dev. I call my naming convention for my directories are dev.angular, dev.asp.net, dev. Whatever, right? Whatever projects I'm working on. So for example, if I do ls and then the name of the directory, so dev.fractal. Okay. Then it will list, and there's the list. There's another folder within the dev.fractal directory. Okay. And again, I use the terms folder and directory interchangeably, but for the most part, when you're talking about terminals and you're in the terminal, it's a directory, right? So, and then a directory within a directory is called a subdirectory. All right. Again, these are just vocabulary words. Now, if you don't have your dev folder, then you can use the mkdir, mkdir command, right? And then followed by the name. So for example, let me come back. Oh, here's another great one before I get into the mkdir. Wherever you're at, so if I change directory again into Urquhart, I'm in my dev folder. Oh, cd dev.py, let's go Python, or dev.classes. So I'm in my C over here is my path, right? Tilde, which is my home directory, and then my dev directory, and then dev.classes directory. And if I do an ls here, it will list I have 4 subdirectories within this dev.classes directory. Now you're not going to have this stuff on your machine. I'm just showing you what's on mine, and then I'll get into how you create your dev directory. Okay, so another great command to kind of see what's going on is the tree command. So if I do tree, okay, then it gives me like this visual layout of these directories. Now the tree does not come with macOS, but you can use brew. So if you want to install the tree command, type brew tree. Hit return. I've already installed it. I'll see what it does. Unknown command tree. Well, that's kind of funny because brew tree, brew install tree. How about that? No wonder it's doesn't know what to do. So clear, and then brew install tree. Right now, it will say already installed, or maybe you should just update it. Okay, so here we go. It says brew up. So what it'll do, usually if you haven't ran brew in a while, it'll do an auto update. It'll update itself. Okay. So then it gives me the warning. Tree is already installed and up to date. To reinstall, run brew reinstall. I don't need to reinstall it. So that's how you install something in brew. Okay, so now I'm in this directory and this subdirectory here. So to get back to my home directory, I'm just going to type cd with no arguments and go back. Hit return. Now you notice that I am back at my home directory. So no matter where you're at, you can be on another volume. You can be, so for example, I have multiple disks on this computer. So if I clear the screen and I list my volumes, which if you just type ls and then /, that'll list your root. You got to be careful when you do this. These are your root folders. Okay, some of them don't show up in, like for example, if you open up your hard drive, you see applications, library, system, and users, but you don't see volumes, you don't see bin, you don't see cores, you don't see dev up at this level. Home, opt, private, sbin, var, temp, USR, user, right? You don't see those. And they're not necessarily hidden, right? Because I only used LS. But to get to another drive via the terminal, you have to go to volumes, right? So if I do a list of the volumes directory, so ls/volumes, hit tab to complete it, it'll show me those are my hard drives, okay? And then if I wanted to change to, let's say, Samsung 8T, so cd /volumes /Samsung 8T, hit return. Now you'll see that I'm in the Samsung 8T. And then if I do a ls, it shows that there's backups. And of course, that's what's in this drive over here are my backups. Okay. Now to get back to my home directory from another volume, the same thing. Just type cd, all right, and hit return, and you are back in your home directory. Clear. So let's just review the commands so far. We've got ls for listing non-hidden files and folders. If you want to see hidden files and folders, ls-al. If you want to change directory, it's cd and then give the path. Like if so, there's relative paths and absolute paths. If I'm in my home directory, which I am because the tilde is shown, and I do an ls, okay, these are the non-hidden files and folders. I see my applications here. So if I want to change to one of those, I just type cd applications, right? And I'm hitting the tab key. When I get to a point, right, you don't have to do a lot of typing because the shell will do autocomplete, right, if it can figure out what you're trying to do. And right now it won't do it because I have app for applications and app applications parallels. So I need to, well, it'll actually go applications, but only because those two applications like match, right? So applications, and if I wanted to go to the parallels, then I would hit a space and hit tab, and then it's still not doing it. So then like this, tab, oh, it's not doing it for that. Interesting. All right. Applications. So I'm going to go change into applications, and you can see here at applications, if I do a ls, it'll show me, okay, so it's showing you everything, right? It shows you the name of the file and the file suffix. So macvim.app, quicken 2016.app, sublimetext.app, terminal.app. Okay, so let me see here. If I want to go back, right, just type cd. But that's a relative path, right? So anything that's directly off the directory that you're currently in. So I'm currently in my home directory, my users directory, or home directory, right? Then I want to go to any folder or access any file. Like, for example, if I want to list the contents of that ERCOT Telegraph Unified LP log, I just type cat for, it prints it out, cat ERCOT, just start typing the name and it'll complete it, hit return, and that's the output of the file. It just lists the contents very quickly, right? All right, so then CLEAR. But anyway, those are relative paths. However, from this directory, if I want to go up to the root drive and then over into the main applications folder, I'd have to say cd space / which is the path to the absolute path to the root drive, and then applications, hit tab. And now if I change directory, I'm in the root applications. And if I do ls, then I'll see a whole lot more apps, right? That's this folder right here. When you open it up in the GUI, that's this applications folder whenever you open your hard drive, okay? So relative and absolute paths. And then again, to return to your home directory, you just want to type cd, okay? like that. So, handful of commands. Now, to create, I'm in my home directory, clear, and ls, tech al. All right, so I have this temporary directory down here. Let me see what's in there. dir tmp. All right, so there's nothing in there. So I'm going to delete that. So rm -r, because this is how you delete a directory, and you better be careful when you type this command, rm-r tmp. Now if I do a ls, I can just, ls, it's not hidden. So the temp directory is not there anymore. Now, to create the directory, mkdir. If you don't have a dev directory, this is how you would create it. You would type mkdir dev if you don't have a dev directory, and that will create your development directory. I'm going to create a temp directory, so mkdir tmp, and then once I type that command and do an ls, you see my temp directory is there. Okay? And then again, to remove a directory, it's rm-r, which is recursive. In other words, remove the directory and everything inside of it, tmp, and again, be careful when you type this command, and then ls, and that temp directory is gone. And the shell has a command history, so I'm typing, at this point, I'm typing the up arrow key, and it's recalling commands that I have used. And I'm going to go back and retype that make dir temp, hit return, and then do an ls, and the temp folder is back there again. The temp directory is right here. Alrighty? So far we have ls to list non-hidden files and folders, ls-al to list hidden files and folders, cd to change directories into another, and then here's your terminal should show what path you're on. If not, I'll go into how you configure it, and chapter 1 talks about how you do this as well, right? So you really want to know where you're at. And then you can also configure it in iTerm as well, versus having the prompt show you. So let me just do that real fast. So you have iTerm, and this is one of the reasons I like it. So in iTerm, you want to go select with your terminal open, okay, iTerm settings, all right, and then general. Let's go to profiles, okay. So I just have one profile, default profile, and then you'll see these tabs here, session. I have the status bar enabled, so then click on configure status bar, and these are the widgets that I have up here. So up at the top of my terminal, you see like 55%, I think that's CPU utilization, 24 gigs is how much memory is being consumed, 16 gigabytes or kilobytes, and 18 kilobytes up, that's network throughput, or network activity, I should say. And then I have a clock, and then I have a search bar. So this is, again, to get to this location, let me cancel. You want to have iTerm launched, right? And go to iTerm settings. All right. It may be preferences. It depends on like how old your OS version is. All right. And then go to profiles, session, and then all the way down at the bottom, status bar enabled, configure status bar. So I'm going to drag another widget here, which will show me right here, current directory. I'm going to take this and drag it down here and put it right there and hit OK. And now you can see up here at the top of my terminal, it tells me where I'm at, in addition to having my prompt configured to do the same thing. All right. So until you get your prompt configured to do this, this is a good way to do it. Okay. Just add that widget and enable the status bar. Okay. And that's about it for the first handful of commands. You should write these down and practice them. I would say it's probably not a good idea to try to cram too many commands into your head, but as you kind of want to know what's available with regard to commands, and this is just scratching the surface. As you progress through the class and the semester, you will encounter terminal commands. And using the terminal, if you're not used to using the terminal, is going to feel very foreign to you, but you're going to have to force yourself to do it. And by the end of the semester, trust me, I've seen it every semester, you'll become natural at it, okay? And a lot of you guys go on to careers in cybersecurity and IT, and it just comes in handy, right? Even if you're never going to be a programmer, all right? So once again, I'm going to just type CD with no arguments. That's change directory, and that will take me back to my home directory. And how do you tell you're in your home directory? You see a tilde, and nothing else but a tilde. All right, and that's it for this quick video session. All right.